This story takes place 27 years after the First Corporate War. The Nest by Sean Carrière. Chapter 26. When Slick came down the stairs a few minutes later, he found Laura, Bench Press, Kyle, and their mystery girl prisoner all sitting together in the center of the big room. They'd gathered the wooden chairs from the sidewall and made a circle around an open case of Casey's brand protein shakes and one of the electric lanterns. It would have felt like a campfire atmosphere, if not for the complete lack of conversation. Laura was busy holding up a can of Casey's to the front of the girl's helmet, the straw sticking through the tiny feed port. Kyle was sitting in his own chair, quietly nursing a protein shake of his own. Meanwhile, Bench Press just rummaged through the case of Casey's, trying his best to find a flavor that didn't suck, and failing.
So much for dinner conversation,
the team's sniper thought to himself as he sat in the last available chair. The thick material of the radiation suit cushioned the hardwood and made it feel as comfortable as his grandpa's old recliner. Slick rested Sam's automatic shotgun on the floor next to him as the two had swapped weapons when they were up on the roof. The case of protein shakes was open, and there were still a half-dozen cans in it. So, Slick reached in and grabbed himself a meal in a can with a straw.
"Sorry for keeping you up on the roof for so long,"
Kyle said to Slick over their radios and in between sips of Casey's. Slick knew Kyle was apologizing for things other than having him keep watch for the last few hours.
"Ain't no thing, boss,"
the sniper said in response. Slick was worried for Kyle. This whole mission seemed to be eating away at the team's leader, and he was clearly upset with himself over losing it on their prisoner earlier. No one had ever seen the boss lose his cool before, and everyone knew it was a result of extreme fatigue and stress. Kyle was his own worst critic, and it was going to take a long time before he could forgive himself. Being a sniper, Slick was accustomed to remaining in position for hours, sometimes even for days at a time. Also, he'd been checking his suit's radiation sensors regularly, and the number of rads here were just within safe levels. Well, safe levels as long as you kept your suit on, that is. As far as Slick was concerned, Kyle didn't owe him an apology. Meanwhile, Bench Press finally slid the small feeding port on the front of his helmet open, and managed to get a straw through it after 3 tries. The big man's head was still throbbing, and he dreaded the meal in a can, knowing it would be as cold and flavorless as day-old dishwater. The team's medic mentally braced himself as he felt the tip of the straw touch his lips. He then shut his eyes tight and sucked in a mouthful of Casey's. This was a mistake. As soon as the protein shake made contact with the inside of his mouth, Bench Press experienced the most intense flash of nausea he'd felt in his life. It was like someone was jabbing their fingers up into the nerves below his jawline while someone else punched him in the gut.
"Oh, fuck me. Not now. Not here."
Bench Press thought to himself as he struggled against the bile rising in his throat. The urge to vomit was too great, and the team's medic tore the thick straps keeping his helmet attached to the rest of the suit, ripping the damn thing clean off his head. Before anyone could ask the big man why he removed his helmet, he jumped to his feet, turned around and tried running toward the stairwell. Bench Press only made it a few steps before dropping to his knees, hunching over and tossing his cookies onto the bank's cold marble floor. With the exception of the girl prisoner, everyone else jumped to their feet. But it was Kyle who picked up Bench Press's helmet and carried it to him. The big man finished emptying what he thought was his already empty stomach as he hovered over a chunky, tie-dye looking puddle on the floor before him.
"Where the hell did all that come from?"
Bench Press asked himself before coughing a few times, spitting, and finally standing back up.
"Better get this thing back on, Bench Press,"
Kyle said as he handed him his helmet. With the painful throbbing inside his skull only having gotten worse, not to mention dizziness and blurred vision, Bench Press finally considered his symptoms and diagnosed himself.
Boss, I think I have a concussion.
The big man said as he put his helmet back on. Kyle walked the team's medic back to the circle of chairs and asked him what they should do.
Just don't let me fall asleep.
Bench Press explained as he settled back into his chair.
When we're out of the C-zone tomorrow, I'll check into the first hospital we find and have them run a scan.
Slick reached into one of his ammo pouches along his webbing, pulled out a small plastic bottle and asked Bench Press if he wanted some of his caffeine pills. Bench Press held up both hands and said,
Thanks, Slick. But right now I couldn't even keep a pill down.
Laura,
Kyle began to say as he sat back down in his own chair.
you think you can handle double duty for the next couple hours?
He asked in reference to both watching over the girl and making sure Bench Press stayed awake.
Sure thing, boss.
The wheel woman answered as she opened her own protein shake and pulled the straw. Slick offered to do it instead so that Laura could get some sleep too. But Kyle ordered the sniper to get as much rest as he could, since the whole team would be relying on him and his eagle eye when they'd roll out the following day. Slick understood Kyle's reasoning and didn't question the order. Instead, he tapped Laura on the shoulder of her suit and offered her the bottle of caffeine pills. Laura politely refused, saying,
Don't fret over me, Slick. I got plenty of shut-eye on the drive up to Martha's Corner earlier, and that's more than I need.
Slick nodded and tucked the bottle back into its pouch.
Okay, Lore. Wake me if you change your mind.
Kyle listened to his team members for a few more seconds before working the keypad on his left forearm and lowering the volume of his helmet's inner speakers. A few seconds later, he finally allowed his eyelids to shut before slipping into a deep slumber. A minute later, Slick allowed himself to fall asleep as well.